I was forced to show my ID to two sheriff's deputies on the front porch of the home I had built with my own hands. Not because I'd broken the law, not because I was trespassing, but because my neighbor, the president of the HOA, decided to call me in like I was a criminal. That was the day I swore she wouldn't have the last word. Act 1, where it all began. My name's Calvin Rowden. I'm 44, steady job in logistics, the kind of guy people count on to keep things calm. 15 years ago, I bought a ranch out by Lake Travis, Texas. Back then, it was rough roof-leaking dock falling apart, fences caved in. But I rolled up my sleeves and turned it into my dream. Every nail, every coat of paint, it was my sweat in those boards. This place wasn't just property, it was freedom. Family birthdays on the porch. My nephew catching his first fish from the dock, my mom sipping sweet tea before she passed away. Selling it was supposed to be a step forward, not a battle. The day the cops rolled up, I had my realtor Samantha by my side. We were just snapping pictures, getting the place ready for the listing. Sunlight was bouncing off the lake. Everything felt normal until flashing lights cut through the trees. Two deputies stepped out, hands on their belts. "Afternoon, sir. Got a call about suspicious activity here." Suspicious. On my own land, I laughed, thinking it had to be a mistake. But no, they wanted ID proof that I wasn't trespassing. Standing there with my wallet out, my chest tight, I realized exactly who had called. Across the cul-de-sac behind her hedge, arms folded, was Patricia Norwell. Patricia, queen of the HOA. She was the kind who measured grass with a ruler, who once made a neighbor cut down wind chimes for noise violations. She weaponized the rule book like it was the Bible. And now she'd turned it on me. The deputies ran my license, apologized, drove off, leaving nothing but dust and humiliation. Patricia slipped back into her house without a word, but I could still feel her eyes. That was the first cut. Act 2, escalation and doubt. 2 weeks later at the HOA meeting, Patricia was at it again. Binder in hand, glasses on her nose, she addressed the room in that clipped, sharp voice. "I've noticed an increase in suspicious activities on private properties, photography gatherings, potential trespassing. It's a safety concern." She never said my name, but everyone knew. I raised my hand. "With all due respect, Patricia, I was taking pictures for a real estate listing. That's not suspicious, that's just business." Her lips curled. "Perhaps. But when neighbors see unusual activity, they have the right to report it. Better safe than sorry." The room murmured. Some nodded along, others looked down. I clenched my fists under the table heat rising in my chest. She'd painted me as a threat in front of everyone. That night I sat alone on my porch, staring at the water I'd once found so calming. For the first time I questioned myself. Was I overreacting? Should I just sell? Get out? Let her win? Maybe that was easier. Maybe I really was drawing too much attention. I almost convinced myself to let it go. Then my nephew Travis dropped by, picking up tools from the garage. He saw me pacing, silent. "You okay, Uncle Cal?" I told him what happened. He shook his head. "She called the cops on you for taking pictures of your own ranch. That's low." I sighed. I don't start fights. Never have. But I also don't want to live feeling like I don't belong here. He looked me dead in the eye. "Then don't. Stand up. You've worked too hard for this place to let her define your worth." Later that night, I opened an old photo album. My mom's face smiled back at me in scrubs after double shifts in that tiny backyard we rented when I was a kid. I remembered her words. "If you don't set your boundary firm, people will keep taking." That was it. The doubt burned off like fog in the sun. I wasn't going to let Patricia keep taking. And then fate handed me the opening. The twist. One Thursday evening, scrolling through property listings, I froze. There it was, Patricia's prized lakefront lot. The narrow strip of land she bragged about at meetings, her personal access to the dock. For sale. I leaned back in my chair, smiling for the first time in weeks. "Well, Patricia," I muttered, "looks like you just put your queen on the board." I called Samantha. We moved fast, quiet, through an LLC I'd set up years earlier. No one would see my name until the ink was dry. The day I signed those papers, I felt something click inside me. This wasn't pettiness, it was balance. She humiliated me on my own land. Now she was about to taste that same helplessness. Act 3. The showdown. It didn't take long. A few days after closing, Patricia came storming down my driveway, binder clutched to her chest. "You," she snapped, face red. "Was it you who bought my lot?" I set my hedge trimmers down, calm as ever. "Afternoon to you too, Patricia. Don't play games with me. That offer came from a company, but I know it's you. Admit it." I shrugged. "Does it matter? You put it up for sale. I bought it. That's how the market works." Her eyes bulged. "You can't just take away my lake access." "I didn't take anything. You sold it. Now it's mine." She hissed like a tea kettle. "This is revenge. I'll bring it up with the board. I'll fight you at the HOA. I folded my arms. "The board can't change deeds. Patricia, it's not your dock anymore." She stormed off, heels cracking the pavement. By that evening, word was everywhere. Some neighbors called me a hero. Others whispered I'd gone too far. Either way, I knew Patricia wouldn't stop. The real fight was coming. The HOA meeting. The community hall buzzed like a hornet's nest that night. People packed in, fanning themselves with the agenda, waiting for fireworks. I sat in the back, calm on the outside, but every muscle coiled tight. At 6 sharp, Patricia marched to the front, binder thicker than ever. First item: property disputes and recent hostile actions against community integrity. Her eyes locked on me. "As many of you know, I sold a parcel of land. What I did not anticipate was a neighbor manipulating the sale to strip me of my rights. Mr. Rowden acted deceptively, using a shell company to trick me. This was vindictive and damages the spirit of our community." Gasps, murmurs. She was good at theater. I stood, my voice steady but sharp enough to cut through the noise. "You called deputies on me for taking pictures of my own ranch. You made me prove I belonged on my land. You turned something simple into something humiliating. I didn't retaliate with cops or complaints. I followed the rules. You listed your property, I bought it. That's the truth." The room erupted. Some clapped, others laughed nervously. Patricia slammed her binder shut. One neighbor called out, "Nobody forced you to sell, Patricia." Another added, "Finally, someone stood up to you." The board president cleared his throat. "From a legal standpoint, ownership has transferred. The HOA has no authority here." Patricia's face went crimson. She sputtered, but no words came. For once, she wasn't the authority, she was the spectacle. She rushed through the rest of the agenda, barely holding herself together. And when the meeting adjourned, she stormed out, binder bent under her grip, shoulders stiff with rage. I sat back down, quiet satisfaction burning in my chest. I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't cursed. I just let the truth carry. Closing. Patricia wanted control. She lost it. And for the first time since deputies treated me like a stranger on my own porch, I felt the balance restored.